Hey y'all, today we're going to be talking about tennis elbow. Now, hold on just a second. I know you may be sitting there thinking, I don't even play tennis. Why would I even watch a video about tennis elbow? Because even though you don't play tennis, you are still susceptible for tennis elbow. So what actually is tennis elbow? Well, another name for tennis elbow is lateral epicondylitis. Lateral meaning to the outside, epicondyl, which is this bony piece here in your arm. Itis means inflammation. So it's inflammation of the muscles as they turn to tendon and as that tendon attaches down there to the bone. Now the reason that's important is this. You have a lot of different muscles in your forearms, which if you wiggle or if you make a fist, you will be able to see all these muscles in your forearm. Well, imagine all of those muscles kind of converging together and attaching on one particular spot. Now that spot's important because you got a lot of things pulling on it, which means that that tendon has to be resilient enough to handle the stresses that you're placing on it, or else that tendon's going to get angry and turn into a tendonitis. Itis meaning inflammation, tendon meaning the tendon. So the only two things a muscle can do is shorten and lengthen. So when those muscles start pulling on that tendon, they put a lot of tension on that tendon. If that tendon isn't strong enough to handle it, what can happen is the tendon can start to fray. It loses some of its integrity, which is where the tendonitis comes from, is the breakdown in the integrity of the tendon, which also causes inflammation. So the interesting thing about tennis elbow is the reason it happens is because of repeated elbow extension and wrist extension, which is why it's not limited to just tennis players. It happens a lot with checkers at the grocery store, grabbing something on one side, scanning it, and moving it to the other side. It happens with welders. It happens with other manual laborers like your carpenters, your mechanics, people that have to turn things and use a lot of their gripping and their moving of their elbow all at the same time. Not limited to just work-related activities, overhead athletes, javelin throwers, volleyball players, baseball players, quarterbacks, things like that, they're all susceptible for tennis elbow. So if most people are susceptible to it just based on our anatomy, then how do you prevent it? Well, your goal is to increase the resistance and the resiliency of the muscles as they turn to tendon and as the tendon attaches to the bone. Well, how do you do that? Well, you work out your forearms. So some people like to do wrist roll-ups. Some people like to do dumbbell isometrics where they hold it in one position for a long period of time. Some people like to do what we call concentrics, which is where you bring the muscle up, or you bring the wrist up by using the muscles. Some people like to do eccentrics where you slowly lower the wrist down by using these muscles as well. It really doesn't matter as long as you can handle the stresses that you're placing on it. The interesting thing about tennis elbow is the way you prevent it is you resistance train the muscles. But once you already have tennis elbow or lateral epicondylitis, the best way to get rid of it is to resistance train your muscles. So it's like the curse that is the cure. So if you want to prevent the thing from getting injured, then you got to work it out. If you want it to heal itself after it's already been injured, you got to work it out. So there's really no pill injection procedure that's going to make your muscles stronger. Even if you take anabolic steroids, you have to resistance train your muscles in order for those muscles to adapt or receive the full benefits of the vitamin S that you might be taking. Regardless, our muscles can only do two things, They can shorten and lengthen. So if we want our muscles to continue to be able to shorten and lengthen, we have to give them the mechanical advantage by increasing their endurance, their strength, and their power. So if you liked the information presented in this video, please like the video, subscribe to my YouTube page, share it with your friends. Thank y'all.